Welcome to Sarah's Scuba and Travel channel. In this video, I want to introduce you to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This video focuses on activities for people who enjoy nature, but are not hardcore adventurous or survivalists. In addition, there is absolutely no camping in the video. I don't do camping. When you first arrive to the park, I recommend making your way to the Sugarlands Visitor Center. They have various maps and guides available for purchase ranging from $1 to $5 each. There are also rangers available to ask questions about the various trails, road closures, and conditions in the park. They have a wealth of information to assist you in your journey. If you have a National Parks passport, don't forget to get your stamp during your stop. Also, you will need to purchase a parking permit at one of the self-pay stations. As of March 1st, 2023, you are required to display the parking pass on your dashboard anytime you park your vehicle inside the park. There are daily passes available for $5 or weekly passes available for $15. If you have plans to visit multiple days, I recommend purchasing the weekly pass. It is more convenient as it prevents you from having to stop and buy a pass each day. It may also be more economical depending on how many days you visit the park. Make sure you arrive to the park prepared for your planned activities. The National Park Service recommends packing plenty of water and snacks, an emergency whistle, traction support like hiking poles or micro spikes, a map, a compass, first aid kit, sunglasses, sunscreen, a hat, rain gear, and a flashlight or headlamp. Do not rely on your cell phone to be your light, map, and survival kit. You will not always have service and batteries die, especially when taking lots of photos and videos. It is also a good idea to wear layers. Many of the trails increase in elevation and may get cooler as you climb higher. In addition, many trails can take quite a few hours, if not the entire day. The weather can change throughout the day, so you want to be prepared for changes in temperature, as well as protection from rain, snow, ice, and sun. If you have other tips for making sure others have a safe day of hiking and enjoy nature, please post them in the comments below. There are two main sections of the park. I recommend planning your activities based on your location to cut down on time spent driving from one spot to the next. Again, make sure you pack plenty of water, snacks, and possibly a lunch. These are not quick itineraries. However, this is bear country, so be cautious about leaving the food in your vehicle while you are hiking. You may have an unwanted visitor when you return, as well as significant damage to your vehicle. Let's start with the first section of the park, the Newfound Gap Road, which has various trails, quiet walkways, and lookouts as you make your way to the Newfound Gap. There is an audio tour brochure available in the Sugarlands Visitor Center that highlights stops at different mile markers. Our first stop was around mile 7, which offers views of the chimney tops at 5 different pullouts. The chimney tops are steep peaks that poke out above the tree line. If you want a workout, you can hike the Chimney Tops Trail, which is the steepest trail in the park and takes you to the top of the chimneys. I do not recommend this for everybody. You will travel through a few tunnels along the Newfound Gap Road. They are always fun to travel through. Embrace the excitement of your inner child. Next, travel the loop, which is a very narrow part of the valley. The loop was engineered due to this being so narrow that engineers couldn't even put a hairpin turn here. As you continue along the road, you will pass the Alum Cave trailhead. This is a very popular trail, especially in the morning, because it can take a long time if you're planning to complete the 5-mile hike to the top of the mountain. If that does not sound like something you are interested in completing, I recommend stopping at this trailhead on your way down from Newfound Gap. More to come on this trail later. The road runs along the river and offers beautiful views. There are various pullouts where you can stop to take pictures. From here, you will see a pullout for a waterfall. This is a pretty fall to take some pictures. When we visited in mid-March, there was ice and icicles along the rocks. They make for beautiful pictures. Just be careful to watch for falling icicles and slippery spots so you do not get hurt while exploring. Continue on your journey and you will come to various lookouts to the valley. Then another waterfall. And your last tunnel of your journey to Newfound Gap. After the tunnel around mile 14, you will approach Morton Overlook. I think this is a must stop. Here you can look down into the valley and view the chimney tops as well as various mountains. You're almost to the top. Continue to mile 14.7 and you have reached Newfound Gap. There are many highlights for this stop. Luckily, there is a large parking lot, so hopefully everyone can find a space to enjoy this historic location. Here you can get great panoramic views of the valley. Next, make your way to the Rockefeller Memorial. This is where President Franklin Delano Roosevelt dedicated the park in 1940. Next to the memorial, you will find a sign marking the Appalachian Trail. This trail runs right through Newfound Gap, so you can snap a picture or even hike some of the trail during your visit. I know I will not attempt the 2,100-mile journey to hike the trail, so this is the closest I will get to exploring this historic trail. Finally, find a sign in the middle of the parking lot and stand on the Tennessee and North Carolina border. Newfound Gap runs right along the state borders. At the far end of the parking lot, you will find a chain and a post leading to a grassy roadway. This marks the old Newfound Gap Road before it was rerouted in 1964. You can explore this as a nice little hike as well, depending on how far you would like to travel. If you are visiting the park April 1st to November 30th, you can drive to Clingman's Dome from Newfound Gap. This is the highest point in the Smokies and offers beautiful views. Unfortunately, we traveled in mid-March when the road was still closed. If you want to continue making your way along Newfound Gap, there are other attractions along the way. You can also take it to Cherokee, North Carolina. We chose to make our way back down the mountain and return to the Alum Cave trailhead to do a little hiking. This trail is rated as moderate. I want to warn you that the hike is uphill the entire way, and it does get very muddy at times. Check the weather before attempting this hike and dress appropriately. Wear strong hiking boots and take water with you. You will first cross 2 wooden bridges. This beautiful trail runs along and crosses Walker Camp Prong and Alum Cave Creek, which offers views of waterfalls along the way. You can choose to make the 5-mile journey to Mount LeConte or just go as far as you feel comfortable. There are some great stops along the way. The waterfalls are beautiful and can be a great place to soak your feet on the way back. You will cross a series of wooden bridges on your journey. At about 1.5 miles, you will come across Arch Rock. This is a great location to snap some pics. Cross the bridge and make your way up the stairs through the arch. When we visited in mid-March, there was still ice inside the cave at 3 p.m. Once you exit the arch, you will find a cable running along the rocks. It is advised to hold onto the cable as you make your way through this rocky area. In the morning, this can be very slippery with ice. Continue your journey crossing wooden bridges and making the uphill climb through mud. About 1 mile after Arch Rock, you will find Inspiration Point. This mile feels a lot longer than 1 mile. Inspiration Point offers beautiful views of the mountain you just climbed as well as the valley below. If you look out far enough, you will be able to see the Newfound Gap Road and the parking lot. It gives you a great sense of accomplishment to see how far you climbed. After Inspiration Point, you can continue to make your way up the mountain to Alum Cave Bluffs. We started to head up, but decided to turn around due to the time of day and conditions. At this point, it was around 4 p.m. and there were icicles falling on the path. We weren't willing to take the risk. Regardless of how far you hike on this trail, you will not be disappointed. And Remember, the journey back to the parking lot is downhill. It is a nice relief from the climb up and takes a lot less time. If you decide to make the hike to Mount LeConte, LeConte Lodge is located at the top and is the only commercial lodge in the park. You will need to make reservations in advance, and the only way to access the lodge is by hiking to the top. All supplies and food are flown in by helicopter. When we were visiting, the lodge was closed for resupplying. Okay, so let's move on to the second section of the park, which is Laurel Falls Road. This section of the park does not disappoint either. The drive alone is worth it. You will find various trails and quiet walkways along the road as well. If you're looking for a hike, I recommend stopping at the Laurel Falls Trailhead. There is a limited parking for this trailhead, so you might want to plan your visit midday when the morning crowd may be leaving. This hike is 2.6 miles round trip. The path is paved, however, the grade may be challenging for some. There is an incline as you will be gaining elevation throughout the hike. It does offer beautiful views of the mountains and valley. Beware as you get closer to the falls. There may be ice on the rocks and pavement. It may be difficult to see the ice, so be cautious and try to walk close to the rocks. Unfortunately, someone did get hurt while we were there. Not seriously, but there was an injury. There is no railing along the edge of the mountain, and people have gone over the edge. So take your time and be careful. When you get down to the falls, there is a wooden bridge that crosses to the falls. This bridge may also be covered in ice, so take your time and use the railing. However, you will have beautiful views of the falls once you make your way across. If you want to get other views of the falls, you can continue hiking the trail on the opposite side. Once you're done, carefully make your way back to the parking lot. Remember, there's still ice on the ground, so be careful. You may not see it, and you don't want to get hurt. Once you return to your vehicle, continue your journey to Cades Cove. Be on the lookout. This is bear country. If you see a bunch of people stopping on the road, it is probably due to a bear spotting. I promise there is a bear in there. Sometimes you're not always going to get a nice clear view, but it is fun to stop and look at them. If you do stop, make sure you stay at least 50 yards or roughly 150 feet away and secure all your garbage in bear-proof dumpsters. Never feed the wildlife. Cades Cove is a beautiful scenic drive. It is an 11-mile one-way loop, so you do not need to worry about navigation. In fact, you will find you do not have reception or GPS while you're in the national park, which is another reason to stop at Sugarlands Visitor Center to pick up a map. The loop runs along a valley in the middle of the mountains. You may see cows and horses in the valley. This is a great location to see wildlife. Keep your eyes out on the forest area. We saw deer a few times. You may also see bears, coyotes, skunks, and wild turkeys. The Cherokee people hunted in Cades Cove, and the first Europeans settled in the cove between 1818 and 1821. You will see various historic structures and communities along the road. If you are interested in more information about the structures, there is an inexpensive guide available at the entrance, or you can pick one up at the Sugarlands Visitor Center. There are various trailheads in the cove as well. Some lead to historic structures. We stopped at the trail to Elijah Oliver's house. This is a nice hike, about 1 mile round trip, and it's at the midpoint of the cove. On the way to his estate, we came across an old barn where some deer were grazing in the field. The homes and structures of Elijah Oliver's house have been preserved for you to walk through, which gives you the opportunity to imagine what life was like during the mid-1800s. The scenic loop is beautiful. You can take your time driving. There isn't a rush. Just please do not stop on the road. There are various pullouts if you want to stop, or you could use these to let faster vehicles pass. Finally, as you leave the cove, make your way to one of the exits in the park. You will pass the sinks. This is a natural pool created by an S-turn in the Little River. Do not jump off the rocks or try to swim here. There is a strong undercurrent that makes this area very dangerous. However, it offers beautiful views of the waterfall. The sinks were actually created when loggers blasted the area to create a new path for the logs to flow downstream. We spent 4 beautiful days enjoying the park. Regardless of how much time you have to spend, I can guarantee you will not be disappointed by the beauty of this park. Please remember to leave only footprints and take only memories. It is our duty to protect the space for the wildlife and many generations to come. Thank you for watching. If you would like to support future productions, please buy me a snack using the link in the video description below. Also, join the Facebook group and follow me on Instagram for more content.